fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration, Wednesday night edition. My wife comes back tomorrow, so anytime she leaves, I'm probably just going to do an episode tonight because I get so bored. But I am boring. I'm the most boring individual you'll ever meet in your life. I work today, delivered my route, came home, sat on the couch, just staring at a wall until I came in here to do this episode. That's how boring I am. And then I don't go out, don't party, don't drink, don't do nothing. I just come home, chill. And when my wife's here, now we'll watch shows. She loves watching shows and stuff, TV, so we do that. But she's not here, and so I'm bored. So I did an episode every night. So I may just do that. And she travels often. She goes to L.A., New York with her job, and sometimes overseas. But when she does, hell, I probably just do an episode a night. That's boring, isn't it? That's boredom. You know, not just sitting there watching TV. Why don't I just go talk to a microphone? But anyway, I'm going to go over this case file today. If you look on episode 53, and I did this last year, and I'll do it next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. The problem is this case file is 200 and something pages, 203 pages. This is a grievance that I put together. Dave Clark, who was the president at the time, he met on it because I wanted to do it in arbitration. I wanted to represent the grievance in arbitration. But the information request turned in is my information request. It's my writing on there. But it's from 2015. And it's where a supervisor or manager got up on the workroom floor and told the carriers they do not get additional breaks in the heat, which is something that's going on nationwide right now. So we're going to grieve it. But this case file is perfect for you. It's got anything and everything you'll need. Now, some of the things need to be updated. Like I messaged Manny Peralta and had him send me the kind of an accident report for heat illness, carriers that have passed away and succumbed to the heat. That has definitely changed since 2015. Okay, so we may need to reach back out and get that data. And you can do that. You can email him at peralta@nelc.org and just ask for the updated data. And I'll read that to you in just a bit. I'm going to go over a few things for you. Now, tomorrow, remember, we'll have the meet and greet in Chatsworth, California. All right, it's Tri-Valley Branch 2902. It's 21540 Prairie Street, Suite C. 21540 Prairie Street, Suite C, Chatsworth, California, 7 o'clock p.m. Okay? And so make sure y'all plan on coming out there and seeing us and talking to us, okay, and asking us questions. But that's a meet and greet tomorrow. Tri-Valley Branch 2902. Just a few things I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to get into this. So like I said, it's not going to be long, probably about 30 minutes, okay, and then we'll be done with it. Somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, Corey, I'm a city letter carrier and a safety captain in this branch. I'm writing to you today because I was curious about what to do when a carrier or member of management is under the influence of drugs or alcohol. How to go about potentially keeping the person from being able to go out on the street and become highly unsafe to themselves and everyone around them. Is there a policy, protocol, or procedure for this? A topic for a future podcast, maybe." I'll talk about it a little bit right here. If it's a carrier, I'm going to go to that carrier and I'm going to say, "Hey, you need to have somebody come pick you up and take off sick." And that's what I'm going to do, because management is going to treat them and us differently. If it's management and they're caught, they're going to let them sit in an office all day and not do anything. If it's us, they're going to put us on EP and try to remove us. I'd be very cautious about going to management about a carrier that's come in intoxicated or under the influence, okay? I would go to that carrier, maybe have another carrier go with me on the sly and say, "Hey, you reek of alcohol, or it's obvious that you're under the influence. Let's call somebody and get them to come pick you up, and you go turn in a sick call slip, okay, and go home, tell them that you're not feeling well." But I'd be cautious about telling management. Now, if they refuse, that's a different thing. I'd get a hold of my branch president if the carrier refuses, says, "I'm not under the influence," and it's obvious that they are. then that sounded like Otis, didn't it? But yeah, if they say that, I would contact the branch president. I'd say, hey, I got somebody out here that's obviously intoxicated or under the influence. What should we do? Now, if they're attempting to go out to their vehicle, you may not have any choice but to notify somebody. Last thing you want is for that individual to go out and kill somebody, and you could have done something to stop it. All right? Now, if it's management, I'm going to go to my branch president. Now, if my branch president is in bed with management, then I'm probably going to call the police and say, I've got somebody that's intoxicated or under the influence. Okay? But if your branch president's on the up and up, I'd let them know, hey, I've got a manager. They can get a hold of the postmaster, who will probably have the person go sit in an office. But there's two different, when I talk about the double standard of it all, that's one of the issues you'll see right there. But I get my branch president. I go up to the individual and say, hey, you're under the influence. It's obvious. You smell bad. You're stumbling. Let's call somebody to come get you, and let's get you home. Okay. So that's my advice. Is there proper protocol? Probably, but that's what I would do. I wouldn't let the carrier get sent off on EP just because they tied one on before they came to work. Here's another one. Now this is summer, right? We're in June already, mid-June. This is going on everywhere, but dear Corey, the supervisor told us during the morning stand-up talk she'll be driving around taking pictures of our trucks to send to district. Now, we've dealt with that over and over again about them doing that, coming out taking pictures of us, our truck. I would tell them, go take a picture of the motherfucker in the parking lot real quick if you want a picture of the truck. If y'all need pictures of the truck to send to district, go out. There's a bunch of them out there in the parking lot right now. Go take a picture of that motherfucker out there. But if you come on my route taking a picture of me in the mail, I'm going to file a grievance on that. And I've dealt with that in the past on these episodes where I've already grieved that. Okay? And you can take a picture of them taking a picture of you. If they're going to take pictures, what are they going to tell you to do? Don't take a picture? Hell, you are. And so, but yeah, that's that to me, that's a grievance. But it just goes to show you, we're in summer months, and what do they got to do? Drive around taking pictures of us. Why? Because they want to push the shit out of us. They want to push the shit out of us. That's why. No brakes. You should have been done right now, Corey, with the amount of mail that's in your vehicle. Well, how much mail is in there? You got half a tray. Well, how long does half a tray take? It shouldn't take you 30 minutes. Okay. Well, now you're trying to count my mail, right? You're trying to give me a quick one-day count based off a linear measurement. We're not going to do that. I have no street standard. That could take 2 hours right there. I hadn't decided yet. But, yeah, so this is the games they're going to play. No sit time, keep it moving, beat the heat. All these scanner messages I've been reading to you. Go out there and take pictures of them. Get the motherfuckers off the street. We're just numbers to them. They would rather sacrifice your life to save 5 minutes. That's the honest to God's truth. You have those stations that would rather you die than and save 5 minutes of time. They don't want to report to their manager why Corey Walton took 20 extra minutes. And so they're going to go out there and take pictures of you. They're going to go out there and look in your vehicle. They're going to go out there and harass the shit out of you. They're going to send you scanner messages about no sit time. They're going to tell you return and leave time based off of DOS and PET, which is all over the country. And what's happening? The carriers have stepped up to educate ourselves on how to handle these motherfuckers, and we're going to keep doing that. Okay? The carriers have stepped up nationwide. You see all these podcasts helping out. I see them every day, putting out new topics, educating. And so the carriers are educating themselves on how to handle these rotten bastards that we work for. And we'll keep doing that. But they are rotten bastards. Somebody sent me this. The U.S. Postal Service and United Parcel Service consistently record the highest volume of heat-related hospitalizations and illnesses among individual corporate employers, largely due to unair-conditioned delivery fleets and grueling physical demands. And that's who we are. And we do much more than UPS does. They jump in and out and deliver packing and jump back in. We're out there in it. We're out there in it every day, delivering mail every box. The last mile, which they don't do. We do so much more than they do. Okay, so, and somebody sent me this. I would not participate in this. I don't know what this is, but I wouldn't participate in it. It's counseling at-risk employees, CARE, counseling questionnaire. And it's a questionnaire on safety issues. I wouldn't do this. Now, they may say, hey, we've agreed with the union. I'm not doing it. I'm not answering questions that something can be put in a case file, and they may say, well, these aren't going to be put in a case file. I'm sorry, but I don't trust anything that you say. But here's the questions, and this is funny, though, when you look at it, because they should be doing this to themselves. Counseling at-risk employees, CARE, counseling questionnaire, date, installation name, counseling member's name, participant, installation, now they got the employee, installation, head or designee, supervisor, local safety captain. So I guess all these motherfuckers are in there with me. Employee has been selected for the CARE program for one of the following criteria. New employee, deficiencies reported on street or office observations, recent accidents and or a history of one or more accidents, avoidable or not. So if somebody sideswipes me, I'm going to be in here answering these questions. Other reasons, please state. ELM 814 responsibilities. All employees are responsible for. Now let's see here how management does on these. A, complying with all OSHA and Postal Service safety and health regulations. Now they falsify HIP every single year. They're doing it now. They did it 3 years ago. Did it last year. They're doing it this year. So, complying with all OSHA and Postal Service safety and health regulations, telling us that we do not get extra breaks in the heat, tell us that if we take a break, that will be considered a stationary event. We could possibly be disciplined. The only break we get on the street is our lunch break. These things are being said. They're sending these things to me. Procedures and practices, including the use of approved personal protective equipment. B, keeping the work area in a safe and healthful condition through good housekeeping and proper maintenance of property and equipment. What about my air conditioning? What about if my air conditioning's been out for a while now? And I filed a 1767, nothing's been done. We filed grievances, nothing's been done. Had the S&DC that the break room's 120 degrees. Candy is melting in the vending machine. So when you tell me keeping the work area in a safe and healthful condition through good housekeeping and proper maintenance of property and equipment, are you talking about that? Are you talking about air conditioning in our buildings? Or are you shutting the air conditioning off so that you'll run the carriers out of there? C, reporting recognized safety hazards and unsafe working conditions immediately. So if I tell management, hey, I've walked into the station and I realized that it's hotter in the station than it is outside. We have no air conditioning. Well, what good is that going to do me? What good is that going to do? What if I tell you that the LLV that you brought me, the spare, it smells like gas in there and it's giving me a terrible headache? What about if I tell you that the fan isn't working in there and you say, go ahead and use it anyway? Which is commonplace. People are sending me those things. Hey, walked out to my vehicle, the fan's not working. All that is it's a microwave oven. All that fan's doing is blowing hot air around on your ass. But you go out there and you say, hey, the fan's not working. Well, we don't have another vehicle. You need to take that one. Not doing it. Now, I'm giving you a direct order direct order this ass. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting in a vehicle that's unsafe. And that's what it is. It's too fucking hot to get out there in a vehicle with no circulation going on. So anyway, I got off on something there, didn't I? Performing all duties in a safe manner. Keeping physically and mentally fit to meet the requirements of the job. Reporting to their supervisors immediately any accident or injury in which they are involved, regardless of the extent of injury or damage. driving defensively and professionally, extending courtesy in all situations, and obeying all state, local, and postal service regulations when driving a vehicle owned, leased, or contracted by the Postal Service. List of documents reviewed. Examples: PS Form 1750, Employee Evaluation and/or Probationary Report. PS Form 1767, Report of Hazard, Unsafe Condition or Practice. PS Form 4565, Vehicle Repair Tag. PS Form 4584, Observation of Driving Practices. If they produce any 4584s, I'm going to challenge the shit out of that. You know these motherfuckers ain't going out on the street watching us unless they're going out there to take pictures. PS Form 4584P, Observation of Pit. PS Form 4588, Observation of Work Practices. Delivery Service. PS Form 4589, Observation of Work Practices, General Employee Accident History, Accident or MV Reduction Plans, Safety Toolkits, or JSAs. Question 1. Let's discuss your accident record. Would you give us insight on your accidents? For instance, from your perspective, what was the cause of the accidents? Briefly describe your most recent accident and the events leading up to the accident. What could have prevented your most recent accident? People, equipment, methods, machinery, and material. This sounds like an II to me. Now, they may say, hey, look, nothing in here can be used against you. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if this motherfucker shows up in some discipline. What are the risks of your job that you believe are most likely to result in an injury? How about dumbass management? How about that? I would say that. What are the risks of your job that you believe are most likely to result in an injury? Dumbass management. Do you feel you have been trained sufficiently to perform your job safely? Response, yes or no. Notes. List 2 action items you can do to work more safely. What would you do differently to promote safety? Is the Postal Service doing a good job of promoting safety? Fuck no. Are there any existing safety procedures that you need clarification on? Yes. Why does management continue to falsify HIP training, not have any air conditioning, tell me to get in vehicles that are unsafe, and sending me scanner messages that are unsafe? How about that shit? Conduct a shoe check. Is employee wearing proper footwear? Describe shoe type. So all this shit you're going to do about accidents I've had in the past, what am I going to do? And then check the motherfucker's shoes and see if they got good shoes on. I'm not sitting in here for this shit. I'm not going to sit in there for that shit right there. Period. We need you to come in here for this care thing. I'm not doing it. I feel like it could lead to this, but it can't. Well, that's not up for you. I feel like I'm being investigated. So I'm not going to do it. All right. Other people have said, hey, what are the episodes on management telling us to curtail mail, forcing us into an undertime status? That's happening everywhere. Curtail mail, forcing it in an undertime status so that they can split more routes and get more time out of us. It's an 8-hour day, but I'm doing my route. You tell me to curtail mail, and I'm doing a portion of another route. They're saving a shitload of money at the expense of my route because in a 6-day count, now during June, July, and August, you can't use it. But in a 6-day count, they're going to be looking at my route, right? And especially if you have a joint process. And they say, hey, Corey, every day you had 45 minutes of undertime. And so, according to this new joint route process, it's looking like I'm going to get 45 minutes. Well, they were telling me to curtail mail every day, forcing me into an undertime status. Now, if I don't put in the proper paperwork, I'm going to get 45 minutes, and management's the one who's fucked me over. So, on episode 120, I discussed the CD-POM. That's the new, management's new pivot plan, okay, the CD-POM. On 124, I talk about curtailing mail so that you can run us into undertime, all right, on 124. So look at those two, okay? Now, here's the case file. So it's on episode 53. Damn. It's on episode 53. Okay, and here's the case file. And if I'm you, I'm going to go to page, I'm going to go to episode 53. I don't know why I've got that on my head, 53, page 53. But go to episode 53, all right? And on episode 53, if you go to from8arbitration.com, it will have this case file for you to download. I would download it. It's got everything that you will need. You will just need to update it. Okay? Now, later, probably Monday, I'm going to go over a lot of things. I'm going to go over HIP. I'm going to go over 1860. All these things. Okay? But this is the case file. And I put this case file together, and it's got the B-team decision in there. Okay? And so the issue, did management violate Articles 5, 14, 15, and 19 of the National Agreement when OIC Patton gave instructions to the carriers that they would not be able to take additional breaks because of the heat? Now that's back in 2015. I also had the joint statement on there because when you talk about giving me instructions that are making me unsafe, making the numbers is not the excuse for the abuse of anyone. If you're telling me that I can't take extra breaks in the heat, that's attempting to make the numbers at the expense of my safety. Okay? So making the numbers is not the excuse for the abuse of anyone. And that's what's happening when you tell me in a stand-up talk that I get no additional breaks in the heat. The only reason you're telling me that is for numbers, right? Is for numbers' sake. So you're putting me in an unsafe position, probably a deadly position, to make the numbers, okay? Did management violate Articles 5 and 19 of the National Agreement via Section 11C of the Occupational Safety and Health Act and 29 CFR 1977.12 of the Federal Codes of Regulations when they engaged in a pattern of reprisals and threatening actions against an employee who filed an OSHA complaint due to the safety and health concerns? So, if you file an OSHA complaint and they know it and they do some form of retribution, Issue 4 is what you need, okay? And that's a very small burden for us. If we've been working overtime and you file an OSHA complaint and they stop, they can say it's for whatever reason, but if I show a pattern of working overtime, then I file an OSHA complaint and they stop giving me overtime, they'll say, hey, just addressing the quarterly, I'm going to do this to them, okay? You got the decision, the DRT's decision. And they will quote M1860 numerous times. The parties recognize that heat abatement is an essential element of on-the-job safety for city letter carriers in all locations where city letter carriers are exposed to excessive heat. Additionally, the parties understand and agree that it may be necessary for individual city letter carriers to take additional breaks when the heat index is under the threshold set above 103 degrees. City letter carriers taking an extra break under this provision must alert management of the beginning and conclusion of the break. Now that's in 1860, all right? And then it goes on. You've got a lot of statements from carriers who heard the stand-up talk. Here's one of the statements. Manager Patton had a stand-up talk about how many hours the carriers had used and how bad we are doing, and that he knows we are somewhere sitting and he's going to catch us. I've heard Manager Patton say on more than one occasion that you do not take a comfort break once you have had your 10-minute break, or that your comfort break is your 10-minute break. And there's a bunch just like that. The Tennessee District has a heat policy they put out to management and city letter carriers every summer. This policy states that carriers are authorized additional breaks when needed to combat working in extreme heat conditions. Current manager Ronnie Patton gave a stand-up talk to East Station carriers denying them additional breaks from the heat. I corrected Mr. Patton during the stand-up, and I told him that it is the district's policy. Patton cut me off and stated there is no such policy and to remain quiet. Patton also stated the city carriers in Arizona work in hotter conditions than us, and those carriers are making it back, so he does not want to hear anything else about the heat breaks. I filed a 1767 and I called OSHA. And so you got a lot of statements like that. There's a very good statements, and they'll tell you exactly what you're going to need in yours. We got the 1767 that was immediately filled out after the stand-up talk. And then, of course, management just did some bullshit on the 1767. You got Article 14.1. It is the responsibility of management to provide safe working conditions in all present and future installations to develop a safe working force. Article 14.2, and then you've got an internet search on the USPS Blue page for heat provides the USPS Summer Stand-Up Talks for 2015, which includes the following. Hot weather is here. Extreme heat can be dangerous. No one should die from a heat wave, but every year on average, extreme heat causes 658 deaths in the United States. Remember these 3 things when working outside during hot weather. You need plenty of water throughout the day. 8 ounces of water every 20 minutes. Don't wait until you feel thirsty. Rest breaks help your body recover. Resting in the shade or in air conditioning helps you cool down. It's important to know the signs of heat-related illnesses. Acting quickly can prevent more serious medical conditions and may even save lives. You got the Occupational Safety Hazard Association shared the following. You can help. We're asking you to share our campaign's simple 3-word message: water, rest, shade. You got Article 31 because they didn't give me some information. And so all this stuff is great. And then it's got on the DRT decision, you'll see the where it says the grievance file contained the following. You got everything that I had in there. And you'll see it. So you can make a little bullet point of everything. Make sure those are accounted for in your case file. You got the grievance, the 8190. You got the issue brought forward at Formal A. You got the Formal A contentions that I did in there back when I did these. And you can copy and paste these Formal A contentions because they are good. This is back when I believe I was on the National Safety Committee, so I had a plethora of things I was putting in here. And so you'll see it. It's a wealth of information on here. And so you can now you'll need to take out the statements, obviously, because they're not yours. But it's got everything that you'll need in that. Then you go down and it's got all the statements, which will help you, kind of how to word your statements. It's got the 1767. It's got my email to Manny Peralta, August 27th of 2015. It's got his reply. And it's the heat illness summary for grievances. That's what you're going to need. Heat illness summary for grievances. And what it does is, like this one, 7/24/2012, Region 5, the branch, Independence, John Watswick. Now, that's the one that this OSHA complaint at 8160 came from. Okay, his death. And that's what started that OSHA thing, the huge one. It's got branch Region 14, James Baldessari. He died of a heat stroke. You got Yuma, Arizona, heat illness and hospitalization. Region 10 suffered heat illness and hospitalized overnight. So you'll have a bunch of those. There's 3 or 4 pages of that shows all the carriers that have succumbed to the heat or been injured by the heat, okay? Then it's got the stand-up talks. Now, I don't like this first one because it says that you take authorized breaks. I don't like that. Use authorized breaks to relax from high heat conditions. I hate that. We should have never agreed to that. Then it's got beat the heat, another one that you'll want to put in there because anything that talks about rest, drink plenty of fluids, maintain normal salt intake, avoid drinks with caffeine, eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, all these things you're going to need. Because this shows that the Postal Service at that level is trying to tell management how we're supposed to address the heat. Okay? And then you have some rogue manager come in there and say, hey, all the shit that I've been told, that I've been telling the carriers, I basically told them to shove it up their ass when I tell them that there's no additional breaks in the heat. But you'll have all that. And then you'll have the precipitation accumulation. And it'll have all your weather charts. And you'll see what I'm talking about if you get the file. It's got M1860 in its entirety. Okay? And it's long. It's lengthy. Now that's from Independence, Missouri. Okay? A lot of advocates for management will say that it applies only to Independence, Missouri. Okay? If a Formal A knows anything about it, they may say, this applies only to Independence, Missouri, the steps and guidelines, okay? What you have in here in this case file is an MOU, okay? Now, get 1860 and put it in there because it's got every stand-up talk ever given as of 2015. But what it has is an MOU. It's dated August 5th, 2015, to branch presidents and secretaries, subject heat safety and M1860. And it's from President Rolando, okay? It's dated August 5th, 2015, to branch presidents and secretaries, subject heat safety and M1860. And that's going to be on page, let's see here, 54 of the case file. 52 of the case file. And it's Step 4 Decision M1860. And it says, beginning in February 2015, the United States Postal Service and National Association of Letter Carriers bargained over a solution of how to meet the needs of both parties. We encourage a very close review of the agreements as bargained, beginning with the following. While this agreement applies solely to the Independence, Missouri Post Office, which is what Labor will say, including its stations and branches, and he highlights this, the parties recognize that heat abatement is an essential element of on-the-job safety for city letter carriers in all locations where city letter carriers are exposed to excessive heat. This statement is in fact a recognition that specific actions have been bargained solely for Independence, Missouri, while at the same time recognizing the dangers of heat and requirement to have a heat abatement program in all locations where city letter carriers are exposed to excessive heat. And so that'll be very good for you to point out in your case file as well, okay? It's got very good instruction. Now I'm going to go over 1860 Monday. It's going to be long and boring, as well as hip, but I'm just going to do it, okay? Because heat's too damn important. Now here's the Postal Bulletin, July 23rd, 2015, and this is what you're going to see mostly. Cover story, Beat the Heat, Stay Cool. It's that time of year again when the temperature begins to rise and the potential for heat-related illnesses becomes a factor during your daily work routine. Here are some quick tips for battling the heat. Hydrate before, during, and after work. Prevention is important, so make sure to maintain good hydration by drinking at least 8 ounces of water every 20 minutes. Dress appropriately for the weather. On warm days, make sure to wear light-colored, loose-fitting, breathable clothing to keep body temperature down. Utilize shade to stay cool. When possible, use shaded areas to stay out of direct sunlight. And that's the language that I like. Okay? Utilize shade to stay cool. And so that's what we'll do. And you've got a lot of those. Okay? A lot of those. Here's another mandatory safety talk from May of 2015. Beat the heat, stay cool. Same thing. You hydrate, you dress appropriately. Utilize shade to stay cool. When possible, use shaded areas to stay out of direct sunlight. It doesn't say on authorized breaks, use shaded areas. It says when possible. It's always possible. Here's another cover story. Same thing. Utilize shade to stay cool. When possible, use shaded areas. So all those things I'm going to pull out, okay? Another thing that's very good on page 61, and this is one we use as advocates, and I put this in there. It's M1391. And it's very important because it says, as a result of our discussions, the parties agreed there is no dispute between the parties that Step 4 grievance settlements are precedential and binding, unless otherwise agreed between the national parties. So anytime you use a Step 4, when management says that's antiquated, that's old, that's back in from 1978, you want 1391 in there, okay? M1391. And we use this in all of our arbitrations. As a result of our discussions, the parties agreed there is no dispute between the parties that Step 4 grievance settlements are precedential and binding. It does not say unless it's old. Okay? Another heat stress thing, top tips to prevent heat stress: hydrate before, during, and after work. Wear lightweight clothing. Cool down in a shady area when possible. There's another thing. It's on page 5 of 8 of this thing. And I don't like the beginning of it, so I didn't read it because it says authorized breaks, but that's so stupid. Remember these 3 things when working outside during hot weather. You need plenty of water throughout the day. Rest breaks help your body recover. Everything that I see like that, I'm going to highlight. Okay? Because they're saying that we get no additional breaks. They didn't say we get scheduled breaks. They're saying we get no additional breaks. Now here's the mandatory stand-up talk from 2013. It says, utilize authorized breaks to relax from high heat conditions. I'm not doing that. And then you've got the OSHA complaint. You got all the contractual language. Anything that you're going to need contractually is in here. You don't have to look up anything. Okay? You got the entire OSHA complaint from Independence, Missouri in there. You got the retaliation thing if y'all need it. That talks about the retaliation against an OSHA complaint. You got the JSOV, it's already in there. You got a 1767 filled out. The JSOV, the Carlton Snow's decision. I also put in here Arbitrator Mayer's decision out of Gadsden about the gun because he had some very good language about the binding effect of national arbitration. Okay? It's a very good read as well, but it's where they brought the gun in. I went down there as the advocate for that. And so he addresses the binding effect of national arbitration, and he talks about National Arbitrator Snow because they said that he didn't have the authority. And he said, well, Arbitrator Snow said I did. And so he gave a very good thing about the national arbitration, and it was on page 14. It says, when Arbitrator Zumas interpreted Article 7.1b.1, he may have used a cannon to kill a mosquito, but it is nevertheless an interpretive award. His decision drew its essence from the contract. He was not dispensing his own brand of industrial justice. His language was neither obscure or ambiguous. To paraphrase, Zuma said it, I believe it, that settles it. And so that's he talks about that. It's a funny thing in this case too, because I remember it, and I'll read it to you since I remembered it when I saw it, but in this case, and I've said this before, probably years or so ago, but anytime I go on an arbitration or went on an arbitration, I'd ask the shop steward, what am I dealing with as far as the supervisor? They don't know they're asking a hole in the ground. Or, hey, they used to be in labor. Okay, well, if they used to be in labor, you're going to ask different questions, okay, because you're not going to be able to trick them probably as well as you could just some yokel that's in there. And so I'll always say, what's the supervisor like? Dumb as hell. What about your station manager? Dumber than the supervisor. And so that was what this shop steward said about his management team. Both of them are dumb as shit. And so I'm reading a statement in the file from the station manager, the one who brought the gun. And it says blah, 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 indubitable or indubitable. 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 I've never seen that word before. Had no idea what that meant. Had to look it up. I've never heard indubitable or indubitable. And so I'm thinking, if he says this person's dumb as hell, I'm gonna say they probably don't know the word indubitable enough to put it in a statement. And so this is when I was asking the supervisor. They went over their statement under direct, and so under cross, I'm questioning them. And I said, now, this is your statement for the file, correct? It is. I said, okay, did you write this statement? Well, of course I wrote this statement. I said, okay. I said, it's fine. I just didn't know, so I didn't know if maybe somebody else wrote it for you and you just signed it. No, I wrote it. Okay. And so I give a couple more questions to get their mind off of it, right? A couple more questions, get their mind off the statement. And I'm tapping my file. I haven't turned it back over to the arbitrator. I've got my file up, and I'm tapping my file on the table. Pop, 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 And I said, Miss So-and-so, I said, can you do me a favor? I said, can you define the word indubitable? And she looked at me. Do what? I said, indubitable. I said, can you define the word indubitable? And she's like, no. I said, okay. I said, well, can you use it in a sentence? No, I can't. I said, okay. I said, I appreciate it. And so told the arbitrator, that's all, Mr. Arbitrator. So the guy that I was going with is Scott Brymer. And he looks at me, he's looking, he's like, well, what the hell does it mean? I said, well, the hell do I know? I said, but she used it in her statement. And here's what the arbitrator said. He said, when given a copy of her statement, she was asked if she personally wrote them. She replied, yes. When she was asked to define the word indubitable, a word she used in her statement, she replied, I don't know what it means. And so that was one of my all-time favorite moments in trapping somebody, because that's just putting that word, what are they like? They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They probably don't know what the word indubitable means. Now, she could have said, oh, that means so-and-so. And I'd be like, okay, well, I didn't know what it meant. And so you just moved on, no harm, no foul. But I thought that was funny. No, I don't know what it means. But Brymer's sitting there setting her up too. What does it mean? The hell if I know, but she used it in a sentence in her statement. And in my closing, I pointed that out to the arbitrator. But he used that, and he impeached her testimony. He said she was untruthful, and that's what you want. But that's in there as well. And then you got the information request. It's very extensive, the information request. But again, this is back when I was on the National Safety Committee. You got, like I said, you got all your contractual language. You don't need to look up shit. It's all on there. Again, this is from management telling you, and a lot of people said that management's on there telling them that they get no additional breaks in the heat. Fire their fucking ass up when they do that, okay? Here's the information request. Now, this is my writing on there. And it says, pursuant to Article 1731 of the National Agreement, as well as the National Labor Relations Act, I am requesting access to the following information, hard copy or electronic, in order to investigate and process agreements. 1. A copy of the heat abatement program for the above referenced installation, including all instructions given to supervisors, as well as instructions that they are to provide letter carriers. 2. Copies of updated OSHA 300 logs. Management at the time was supposed to have OSHA 300 logs, okay, that they keep in every station. So I said copies of updated OSHA 300 logs for the last 5 years. 3. Documentation showing the names of the supervisor or supervisors, managers, who presented heat abatement related safety talks, with copies of all documents that they used to give these talks, a listing of the employees in attendance, the time that each stand-up talk was presented, along with copies of the ETC report showing when letter carriers clocked in. This information is requested for each stand-up talk that the employer conducted on heat safety during the previous 90 days. 4. Printouts from the USPS Safety Toolkit for each of the stand-up talks identified in number 3 above, identifying who entered the information and which documents were used to enter these records. 5. A listing of any employee heat-related complaint or concern brought to the attention of supervision, identifying the date of the communication, the name of the employee, the specific concern or comment surfaced, the specific action taken by the employer in response to the comments or complaints surfaced, and who investigated the complaint or the concern, and any and all additional information concerning the heat-related incident illness to the city letter carrier, Mr. Jones, who was taken to the hospital. I'm also requesting time to interview the following individuals, all carriers in attendance on 8/12/15, and specifically city carrier Mr. Jones, and then turn that in. And it was signed by David Lehman Clark, because because he was going to represent it at arbitration as the Formal A rep, and I was going to be the advocate. Of course, it got resolved at the DRT. Then you got my time limit extensions. You got their management's contentions, which is a bunch of shit, but he didn't have anything to work with. But that's the case for 203 pages, okay? So I hope I wasn't too sporadic on that, but that's a lot of pages. But right now, when you have management coming out there intentionally putting us in harm's way, bust that ass, okay? 203 pages will go good in arbitration. It's got everything that you will need for that grievance, okay? It's got my contentions in there that I typed up. Copy and paste it. Steal it. Just take out the dates and the statements and put your own in there. It's got all the contractual language that you'll need. Okay? It's got all the step 4s. Everything. Independence, Missouri. It's got all that. The OSHA complaint. The contractual language. Arbitrator Snow's decision on the joint statement. Everything. So get that. Copy it. Use it. Make it your own. Okay? And let's bust management in the ass for being stupid fucks. You got them saying, hey, go out there and watch them on the street. Go take pictures of them. While they're intentionally putting us in harm's way. We're in a fight right now. We're in a fucking battle right now for our lives. And I mean that with everything in me. We are in a fucking battle for our lives. You got dumbasses sending scanner messages, no sit time. Well, how am I supposed to take a break in the heat with no fucking sit time? What you're implying is I don't get to take a break. That's what the implication is. Keep it moving, beat the heat. What does that mean? I'm supposed to take breaks as needed. That's kind of contradictory. Keep it moving, beat the heat, okay? And so then you got managers coming out. No additional breaks in the heat, okay? Poom's coming out saying that shit on the floor. So we're in a fight for our lives out here. Again, if you drop dead because of some stupid shit management said, they will have a CCA come and take your shit and finish it, and your T6 delivering your route tomorrow. All right? Nothing is more important than your safety. Nothing. This mail isn't. Nothing is. Okay? These grievances are the most important grievance that we can file. Somebody says, what about removals? Heat affects 100% of light blue every single day. 100% of light blue is affected every day due to the heat, wherever you're at during the summer. So removals are important. But heat, safety, it affects 100% of light blue a day. So these are the most important grievances we'll file, okay? Keeping ourselves safe. Monday, we'll have one on the scanner messages. We'll grieve on that. And we'll have the step 4, A160. I'm going to have HIP, all that Monday, okay? Going to be a long episode, but I'm going to keep doing it. People send me stuff every fucking day what management's doing to us during the heat. Something that they should be doing. Something that they should be taking care of, us, during the heat. And instead of doing that, instead of saying, hey, we're going to make you a priority during the heat, they're making numbers a priority. You see that by the falsification of HIP still. You see the falsification of HIP. You see that through the scanner messages. You see that through the stand-up talks. You see that through them coming out there to take pictures of us because we're not going fast enough on the route. We should be done with that tray of mail you had. Continuously trying to give us some form of demonstrated performance based off of $39.99. I've read those things to you. Continuously fucking with us on DOAS and PET to get us out in the streets sooner. Now your president is proposing some kind of 4-day work week, 10 hours a day. Completely buffoonery. I mean, complete fucking buffoonery. Completely unsafe. It's the most unsafe thing I've heard. It sounds like something that the Postal Service would propose because they don't give the first damn shit about our safety. But you know who does? We do. Light blue. So we'll continue to educate ourselves every fucking week. You got 30-something podcasts out there right now educating the shit out of light blue. We will take it upon ourselves to do that. All right? We'll do that ourselves. Okay? So, there you have it. Hope that helped. More than anything, just go on from arbitration.com and go down to episode 53 and print this out. Okay? Print this out. And grieve it. Grieve management going out there with that dumbass shit on the workroom floor about you to get no additional break. That's deadly. That's deadly. That's no different. That's Russian roulette is what that is. You're basically spinning that cylinder on that pistol and, clicking it. That's all that is. That's how dangerously stupid that is. You're playing Russian roulette with my carriers when you say no additional breaks in the heat. It's deadly. So we're going to agree. We're going to handle it, okay? Well, there you have it. Y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. Please have a fantastic rest of the week. Again, we will be in branch 2902 tomorrow, Chatsworth, California. All right? Y'all make sure to come see us. I love you, light blue. I love you with everything in me. We're going to get this done, man. All right? We're going to turn the corner on this motherfucker. Okay? I promise you. We'll take care of each other. But we'll be hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, taking on anything they want to throw at us until we can get a new administration in here to change the fucking culture of this bitch. All right? I love you. Y'all have a fantastic week. Please, please, please be careful. Please be safe. Please. Okay? I don't want to hear of any of my people succumbing to this shit. All right? Y'all do what you got to do to take care of yourselves. I love you, and I'll talk to y'all Monday. All right?